This will be an in-depth analysis of Ohio serial killer Shawn Grate by Kaylin Cowden.
Throughout this analysis, I will be discussing Grate's personal history, possible motives, methods, victims, crime scenes, and criminological framework. Other than some minor criminal charges, unsteady employment, and a history of drug use, Grate appeared to be a normal man from Ohio. His family describes him as loving, kind, attentive, and charming. He enjoyed several hobbies, including woodcarving, sports, and board games. Grate regularly attended church where he met his former wife Amber and one of his victims, Elizabeth Griffith. He claims to have been brought up in a Christian household and still considers himself religious, praying to God regularly. There is not a lot of information known about Shawn Grate's childhood, but it seems as if he lived a fairly normal life. He was born on August 8, 1976, in Marion, Ohio, to Teresa McFarland and Terry Grate. Grate's parents divorced when he was 6 years old, and his mother was granted full custody. Shawn's sister Barbara claims that their mother was neglectful and left the children alone on multiple occasions. After the divorce, Teresa cycled through many abusive boyfriends. When Grate was 11, his mother abandoned the family and moved to Kentucky with her boyfriend, and Grate moved back in with his father for a brief period of time. Eventually, Teresa moved back to Ohio, and Grate moved back in with her. A psychiatrist described Grate as suffering from neglect and emotional detachment. For unknown reasons, Grate's father was granted full custody of Grate just 2 months before his 18th birthday. Then, just 2 months after Grate's 18th birthday, his criminal record began with a domestic abuse case involving his girlfriend at the time. Grate had many short-term relationships throughout his early adulthood, many of which became violent. Grate had 3 children by 3 different women, one of which he was briefly married to in 2012. He did not have custody of any of his 3 children after their births, and even had a protection order in place preventing him from seeing his youngest. Shawn Grate's victims all had at least one thing in common: they received government assistance. Grate acknowledges this commonality and even describes it as the motivating factor for his murders. During initial interrogations with the Ashland County Police Department, Shawn Grate claimed that most of his murders were motivated by anger, although he mentioned the use of government assistance to the interrogators when describing almost all of his victims. On September 28, 2016, only 2 weeks after his arrest, Grate responded in a letter to News 5 Cleveland's Megan Hickey's request for an on-camera interview. "That sounds scary, and facing myself even more," he wrote. "The mirror has been enough. I still need time." He went on, however, to explain his, quote, horrible act of violent behavior. "About 5 years ago was the first time I reached out for government assistance," he wrote. "I was able to receive $197 on a food card. I found work here and there, but was never able to receive any encouragement, though many bodies received $700 some every month to $1,000 of taxpayer money." In the same letter, he describes his victims as already dead. Just their bodies were flopping around wherever they can flop, but their minds were dead. The state took their minds. "Well, look at me now. I'll be dead-minded like them, but stuck in a cell for the rest of my life," he writes. In initial interrogations with the Ashland County Sheriff's Department, while being interrogated by Detective Kim Major, Grate says his victims, quote, should have been taken out back or put in a mental institution a long time ago. "They almost need a special city for all the retards out there collecting that retard check. They should not be out in society," he says. During these series of interrogations, Grate also says, "I hate seeing people suffer," suggesting that his killings were mercy killings. He claims that at least 2 of his victims had expressed suicidal thoughts to him, but were, quote, too scared to do anything about it. Although all of Shawn Grate's victims received government assistance, elimination of an identifiable group of people does not appear to be Shawn Grate's primary motive. Grate seemed to have formed at least somewhat of a relationship with all of his victims before he identified them as being potential victims, therefore suggesting that there was a personal or emotional factor contributing to Grate's motives, which he describes as anger. Grate admits to having strangled all of his victims, many of them multiple times and/or on separate occasions, and it appears that he has a strong preference for strangulation as his method of operation. Grate murdered 5 women, 4 of which died of strangulation. The other, his first victim, Dana Lowry, was strangled until she was unconscious, but died of a stab wound to the neck, according to Grate. Lowry's body was already decomposed when it was found, and officials were unable to determine a cause of death from the skeletal remains, but they believed the remains were those of a homicide victim who had been dumped. Although strangulation was the method of operation in all but one of Shawn Grate's murders, it was the psychological component he used with all of his victims. Grate had suffocated all of his victims to the point of unconsciousness, some even multiple times, before killing them. Some of the strangulations he claimed were due to anger, and others were to instill fear in his victims. He even described some of the strangulations as seeing if his victims, quote, really wanted to die. After strangling Elizabeth Griffith, Grate said he felt angry that she claimed to have thoughts of suicide, but then fought for her life when she thought it was in danger. Grate felt as if Griffith was lying about having suicidal thoughts and wanted attention, so he decided to kill her. Grate also sexually abused several of his victims. He claims to have had sexual relations with Rebecca Lacey before murdering her, but claims that they were all consensual. Grate was also in a romantic relationship with Candace Cunningham when he murdered her, but claims that all of their sexual interactions were consensual. The first victim Grate confessed to raping was Stacey Stanley. Grate forced her to engage in sodomy while he recorded the sexual activity on his cell phone. Videos of Grate raping his final victim, who survived, known as Jane Doe, were also found on Grate's cell phone. Jane Doe told the court that Grate sexually abused her in, quote, every way imaginable. Medical examiners confirmed that Jane Doe's pubic hair was shaped into the shape of a heart, which was Shawn Grate's doing. The examiners provided Jane Doe with a razor after the examination and allowed her to shave it off. Finally, the last psychological component used by Grate was binding his victims' wrists, ankles, and necks with articles of clothing. Jane Doe had been tied to Grate's mattress for 3 days before she was finally able to escape. Elizabeth Griffith was found with bindings around her wrists and ankles, and Stacey Stanley was found with a binding around her neck, although it is unclear whether these bindings were tied before or after the victims' deaths. Stacey Stanley, Elizabeth Griffith, Candace Cunningham, Rebecca Lacey, and Dana Lowry are the 5 known murder victims of Shawn Grate. Shawn Grate's unnamed 6th victim was able to escape and aid in the capture of Shawn Grate. Grate says he assumed that there wouldn't be many people looking for his victims if they went missing. Unfortunately, his assumptions proved to be true for many of these women. Although her family had suddenly stopped hearing from her, Dana Lowry was never officially reported missing, and her body was not identified until 12 years after her death, thanks to the description of her given to police by Grate after his arrest. Rebecca Lacey wasn't reported missing until approximately 1 month after her death. Candace Cunningham was never reported missing, and her body was discovered 3 months after her death when Grace led police officials to her. Stacey Stanley was reported missing 3 days after her death by her family, who was concerned that she had begun using heroin again after she had been clean for 6 months. Police noted that Grate targeted victims who were vulnerable to drug use or had slipped through social cracks. Dana Lowry's body was discovered on March 10, 2007 by Larry Higgins Jr., who was searching for metal pieces to scrap in the brush near Victory Road, a popular dumping site. He originally thought her skeletal remains were discarded Halloween decorations, but as he got closer, he realized that the skeletal remains were real and belonged to a human. The only information that officials were able to definitively determine was the fact that the body belonged to a female. They estimated that she had been deceased for 1 to 5 years, was Caucasian, between the ages of 15 and 24, and approximately 5'6". Based on isotope testing, officials believed that she was likely born in one of the states bordering the Gulf and spent the last 5 years of her life in Texas, Florida, or the Caribbean. Dana Lowry was born in Minden, Louisiana in 1983, and after a falling out with the father of her 2 children, ages 1 and 4 at the time of her death, Lowry moved to Marion, Ohio in 2006 and began selling magazines. The father of Lowry's children, David Cobb, said Lowry would call and talk to the children 3 to 4 times per week, but suddenly stopped calling in May 2006. In an interview with KTBS News in 2019, Cobb said that he assumed she stopped calling because she had simply moved on. That's just the kind of person she was. I don't know who actually reported her missing, but maybe her aunt, since Dana's parents were already deceased by this time, he said. While Dana was selling magazines door to door, Shawn Grate's mother, Teresa McFarland, placed an order and paid for $40 worth of Lowry's magazines. According to Grate, his mother never received the magazines and Lowry did not return the money. Grate says he got in his car and drove around to find Lowry. When he found her, he told her he wanted to buy some magazines. He said he didn't have enough money with him, but he did at his house, and he asked Lowry if she wanted to take a break from working and go to the house where Grate was staying, which was his grandparents' house. Once they arrived at the house, Grate said he invited Lowry into his bedroom to see his baseball card collection, where he confronted Lowry about his mother's magazine orders. Lowry, trying to get away from Grate, went back into the living room where Grate strangled her until she became unconscious. Grate dragged her unconscious body to the basement where she woke up. Grate ran upstairs to grab a knife, came back down to the basement, and stabbed Lowry in the neck. Later that evening, Grate had a bonfire in the house with Dana's body still in the basement. He placed a couch in front of the door to the basement so that no one would go down there and find her body. A few days later, Grate dumped her body near Victory Road. Dana's body was found approximately 11 months after her death. Dana was considered a Jane Doe until Grate's confession. He did not remember much information about her, but he was able to give officials enough information to match her to a missing persons case from Minden, Louisiana. Grate could not remember her name but believed it started with a D and was either Diane or Dana. She was officially identified in 2019, 13 years after her murder and 12 years after her body was found, following a matching DNA test with one of her daughters. Shawn Grate and Rebecca Lacey met in Mansfield when Grate paid Lacey for her services as a prostitute. Grate claims the two stayed in touch after their business exchange and became friends. One evening in either January or February of 2015, Grate and Lacey were playing pool at a music store/bar called Electric Tempo, which Grate ran with a friend. The image in this slide was taken directly from Grate's personal Facebook page in 2014 and appears to be the view of the inside of Eclectic Tempo, the store in which he claims to have murdered Rebecca Lacey. Grate claims he became suspicious that Lacey had taken money from his wallet, so he went to the restroom to check his wallet and noticed that he was missing the $4 that had previously been in it. Grate says he then confronted Lacey and she wanted to leave, so Grate fought with her until choking her to the point of unconsciousness. When Lacey became unconscious, Grate says he reached into her pocket and received his money and took the batteries out of the 2 cell phones she was carrying so she could not call 911. Then, Grate claims he waited for Lacey to wake up, and when she did, he began fighting with her again until ultimately killing her by suffocation. Grate left Lacey's body in the Eclectic Tempo for several days before he was able to borrow a friend's car to transport her body. When Grate was finally able to borrow a friend's car, he drove to a wooded area near County Road 1908 in Ashland, Ohio, where he left Lacey's body behind a large tree. Approximately 1 month later, on March 16, 2015, Lacey's body was found by a man checking gas wells. The coroner found no suspected signs of foul play, and the autopsy revealed cocaine, morphine, and buprenorphine in Lacey's system at the time of her death, so her death was ruled an accidental overdose. To this day, Rebecca's family, specifically her father, does not believe that Grate killed Lacey and believes that she did in fact die of an overdose. Shawn Grate and Candace Cunningham had been dating for approximately 7 months before Cunningham's murder. The two lived in an abandoned house at 1027 Park Avenue East, Mansfield, Ohio. Grate claims that the two had a rocky relationship but began to fight much more frequently within the last several weeks of Cunningham's life. Grate claims that Cunningham used drugs and often lied to Grate. He says he eventually became so angry with Cunningham, he told her that if she lied one more time, he would kill her. According to Grate, Cunningham continued to lie, so Grate tortured her for 3 to 4 days before ultimately strangling her to death. Grate says that he became so angry with Cunningham one night after she woke him in the middle of the night and asked him to roll her a cigarette that he strangled her to death. After strangling her to death on approximately June 16, 2016, Grate left Cunningham's body in the house before dumping her in the woods on approximately June 17, 2016. A few days later, on either June 20th or 21st, Grate returned to burn down the house. Elizabeth Griffith and Shawn Grate met through a religious support group in 2016 and quickly became friends. Elizabeth suffered from multiple mental illnesses, including schizophrenia, and had recently set her hair on fire in response to a schizophrenic hallucination. Her mental illness, as well as her estrangement from her family, negatively affected Griffith's mental health. Griffith expressed to Grate on multiple occasions her wish to die and struggles with suicidal thoughts. One night on approximately August 16, 2016, Grate invited Griffith to the abandoned house he had been staying in to play board games. The two had been playing Yahtzee when Griffith began to discuss with Grate her suicidal thoughts. Grate felt as if Griffith talked about suicide for attention and choked her to, quote, see if she really wanted to die. When Griffith fought back and tried to escape his chokehold, he became even more angry. As Griffith fought for her life, he said to her, I thought this is what you wanted. Eventually, after strangulating Griffith multiple times, Grate strangled her to death. He drug her body upstairs and placed it in a closet underneath a pile of clothes. He then taped the closet door shut to try to contain the smell. During his interrogation after his arrest, he stated that he had placed a stick in Elizabeth's mouth at some point and said, quote, I was trying to open her mouth a little bit to be able to have more access for flies to eat her. I wanted to hurry up and get rid of the body. Griffith's body was found on September 13th, 2016 in the closet where Grate had left her, completely naked with bindings around her wrist and ankles. On September 8th, 2016, Stacy Stanley drove to BP gas station where she met with family friend Wayne Bright, who helped her change her flat tire. Grate, a stranger to the two of them, offered to help them, and Stacy offered to drive him home in exchange for the help. When they arrived at the house in which Grate had been staying, Grate became angry with Stanley after she allegedly denied flirting with her family friend, and then asked Grate for $50 to help pay a bill. Grate's anger turned to violence, and Stanley maced Grate in an effort to escape. Unfortunately, her efforts were unsuccessful, and Grate began to rape her. Police discovered videos recorded by Grate which depicted Grate raping Stacy Stanley. In one of the videos, you can hear Stacy say, "You told me I could leave." After raping Stanley, Grate suffocated her and dragged her body downstairs where he concealed it under piles of trash. Her body was found naked from the waist down. The image on this slide was taken by Ashland Police Department at the crime scene. The picture shows Stanley's tattooed arm, and you can see early stages of flesh decay in the top left corner of the photo. Grate's final, unnamed victim, known as Jane Doe, was able to escape from Grate's capture on September 13th, 2016, and led authorities to the home where he was keeping her, as well as the bodies of Elizabeth Griffith and Stacy Stanley, after stealing his phone and calling 911. Grate knew Jane Doe from the neighborhood they both lived in, and they had been friends for about 1 month. On September 10th, 2016, Grate invited Doe to the house he had been staying to show her some clothes that his mother and sister were giving away. When Grate and Doe got to the house, Grate asked Doe to read some Bible verses to him. After several minutes, Grate grabbed the Bible out of Doe's hands and said, quote, "You're not going anywhere." Grate tied Doe up to his mattress using bindings he made out of articles of clothing. For 2 nights and 3 days, Grate sexually abused and raped Jane Doe as well as strangled her multiple times. On September 13th, 2016, when Grate fell asleep, Jane Doe was able to loosen the bindings that tied her to Grate's mattress, grab his phone, and call 911. Whispering as to not wake Grate, Doe was able to describe her location to dispatchers and escape Grate's capture, as well as aid in his arrest. Marion County, Ohio was the death place of Grate's first victim, Dana Lowry. Grate picked up Dana one afternoon, likely in May of 2006, and took her to his grandparents' house at 6 Woodbine Street, Bucyrus, Ohio. A few days later, Grate wrapped Lowry in sheets and dumped her body near Victory Road, about 15 miles from his grandparents' home where he was staying. The field near Victory Road where Grate dumped Lowry's body was very secluded and was notorious for being the site of many illegal dumpings. After dumping her body, he returned home and burned the sheets and knife used in Dana's murder. A few months later, he returned to Victory Road and burned Dana's body. One evening, approximately January or February of 2015, Rebecca Lacey was murdered in Eclectic Tempo, a music store that Grate ran with a friend. After murdering her, Grate left Lacey's body in the store until he could get a car to transport her body. Grate says he placed Lacey's body in a plastic golf bag and taped it shut. He then carried the bag outside through the snow and put it in the trunk of the car. He transported her body in broad daylight and said during his interrogation with police officers that he felt as if everyone was watching him. With Lacey's body in the trunk of the car, Grate drove approximately 11 miles to a secluded wooded area near County Road 1908 in Ashland. He carried her body into the field and left it behind a large tree. Grate claims he thought he had been caught when he saw a police car driving behind him after he dumped Lacey's body in the field, but unfortunately, the officer was not suspicious of Grate and drove away. 1027 Park Avenue East, Mansfield, Ohio, was the crime scene involved with the murder of Candace Cunningham. The home was an abandoned home where Grate and Cunningham had been staying for a few months. On approximately June 16, 2016, Grate strangled Cunningham to death in the bedroom of the house. He left her body inside the house before wrapping her in a blanket and taking her into the woods on approximately June 17, 2016, around 10 p.m. Grate left Cunningham's body about 10 to 15 feet away from a creek in a wooded area behind the house where they had been staying. Grate left Cunningham's body in a shrub and carried the blanket back to the house. A few days later, on either June 20th or 21st, 2016, Grate returned to the home where he had murdered Cunningham and burned it. 363 Covert Court, Ashland, Ohio, was the crime scene of the victimizations of Elizabeth Griffith, Stacy Stanley, and Jane Doe. In the evening of August 16, 2016, Elizabeth Griffith walked from her apartment to the house where Grate was staying to play board games. But after confiding in Grate about her suicidal thoughts, Grate strangled Elizabeth to death. He claims that her shirt came off as he was strangling her, and once she was dead, he put her body in the closet, covered her with clothes, and sealed the closet door shut with tape. Her body was found completely naked with bindings around her wrist and ankles. A few weeks later, on September 8, 2016, around 10 p.m., Grate was walking in the rain near BP gas station about 3 miles from his house, where he met Stacy Stanley. From there, Stanley offered to drive him home, and the two went into his house to talk. Grate raped and sodomized Stanley before strangling her to death. He dragged her body downstairs to the basement and covered her with clothes and trash. Her body was found naked from the waist down, with bindings around her neck. Grate left her car, which was found September 11th, near a wooded area less than half a mile from the house on Covert Court and just over 4.5 miles from the BP gas station. Just 2 days after Stanley's death, on the evening of September 10, 2016, Jane Doe walked with Shawn Grate to his house where she thought she would be looking at clothes Grate's mother and sister were giving away. Grate kept Jane Doe in the house until she was rescued by officers in the early morning hours of September 13, 2016. Using Holmes and DeBurger's serial murderer typologies, Grate would best be classified as a power or control-driven killer. Holmes and DeBurger note that these killers' source of pleasure is the ability to control and exert power over his helpless victims. These killers usually choose specific victims. It seems that Grate enjoyed the power he felt over the women whom he held captive and found pleasure in having control over whether or not his victims would get to live or die. When describing Stacy Stanley's murder, Grate claims that he was going to, quote, let her live, indicating that her fate was under his control. It was not until Stanley fought back that he decided to kill her. He also describes the control he had over his victims when confessing his abduction of Jane Doe, in which he claims he was not going to kill her and he was going to let her go eventually. It seems that Grate became angry when he felt as if he was not in control and decided to kill only when he felt his power was being threatened. In Dana Lowry's case, Grate felt as if Lowry was taking advantage of his mother, so he decided to kill her in order to prove that he was more powerful, so to speak. With Candace Cunningham, Grate describes trying to control Cunningham in certain aspects of their relationship and told her that if she lied again, he would kill her. When Grate supposedly caught Cunningham lying, he strangled her in order to show her that he was serious. When she fought back, he became more angry and likely felt as if she was challenging his authority, so he killed her. By the time of Elizabeth Griffith's murder, Grate had become more comfortable killing and seemed to simply enjoy having control over her life or death. After Griffith expressed to Grate that she was suicidal, Grate strangled her and asked her, "Is this really what you want?" When Griffith fought back, Grate assumed that she did want to live and had been seeking attention by confiding in him with her suicidal thoughts. So he took control over her life, made the decision for her, and killed her. Finally, Grate also likely killed Rebecca Lacey in order to feel as if he had power or control over her. He likely felt as if she had threatened his power when she stole $4 from his wallet, so in order to gain his power back, he killed her. Furthermore, Grate chose victims who he believed he could easily take control over. Grate described all of his victims as being controlled by drugs or brainwashed by the government, suggesting that they could easily be taken advantage of. Grate's criminal record began shortly after his 18th birthday in 1994 with a domestic violence incident involving his girlfriend at the time. He was sentenced to 90 days in jail, 87 of which were suspended. Just 2 years later, in October 1996, he was charged with second-degree burglary and sentenced to 4 years in prison, but was released just 1 year later on good behavior. In February 1988, Grate took his ex-girlfriend Stephanie Wooten to court for a paternity test for their daughter Kaylee, which came back positive. In February 1999, Grate was charged with assault and unlawful restraint and was sentenced to 120 days in prison, 100 of which were suspended. During this incident, Grate allegedly choked his ex-girlfriend and mother of his child, Stephanie Wooten, and threatened Wooten and her sister with a butcher knife when they tried to leave. Just 1 month later, in March 1999, Grate was charged with 1 count of aggravated menacing and sentenced to 90 days in jail, 80 of which were suspended. During this case, he was also cited for 1 more count of aggravated menacing, 1 count of criminal trespassing, and 1 count of telephone harassment, but those charges were dismissed. Just 1 more month later, Grate was charged with violation of a protection order and was sentenced to 90 days in prison, 75 of which were suspended. In October 1999, Grate was charged with 1 felony abduction in the 3rd degree and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. During this case, he was also cited for 1 more count of felony abduction in the 3rd degree and misdemeanor child endangering in the 1st degree, but those charges were dismissed. After serving 3 years in prison, Grate stayed out of trouble for 1 more year, but was charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor violence in October 2003 and served 7 more months in prison after choking another one of his girlfriends. In December 2005, Grate was charged with theft, but other than that remained out of trouble until 2007. However, as we know, in approximately 2006, Grate abducted and murdered Dana Lowry. In January 2007, Grate was charged with falsification, identity theft, obstruction, driving under suspension, and fictitious registration, and was sentenced to 170 days in jail, but only served 4 as the other 166 days were suspended. In 2008, Grate's mother, Teresa McFarland, took Grate and his ex-girlfriend, Lisa Ball, to court for custody over their son, Dylan. At the time, she was given visitation rights, but during an interview in 2016, Grate reported that his mother had full custody of Dylan. In July 2009, Grate was charged with possession of marijuana and received a $50 fine. In June of 2010, Grate was charged with yet another domestic violence incident against a former girlfriend and was sentenced to 180 days in jail. In December 2012, Grate's wife, Amber Bowman, filed for divorce due to abuse and neglect and domestic violence and ordered a civil protection order against Grate for both herself and their 4-year-old daughter, Violet, in 2013. In August 2013, Grate was charged with drug abuse, possession of drug paraphernalia, and receiving stolen property and was sentenced to 1 year of probation. In June 2014, Grate was cited again for possession of drug paraphernalia and a probation violation, but both charges were dismissed in November 2014. In June 2016, Grate was cited for obstruction of official business, but the state decided to drop the charges. On September 13, 2016, while Grate slept, his final victim, identified as Jane Doe, was able to loosen the ties that bound her to his mattress and reach Grate's phone. From his phone, she called 911 and was able to give the operator their general location as well as Grate's full name. The victim claimed she was not able to leave the house without waking Grate, so she stayed on the phone with operators until authorities arrived. During the phone call, she accidentally knocked over a taser sitting on Grate's nightstand and woke him, but he sat up for a moment before falling back asleep. Once he fell back asleep, Jane Doe was able to lead authorities to the house where she was being held. When authorities arrived, Grate was arrested and sent in for questioning. He was initially hesitant to give any information to the officers, but eventually confessed to the murders of Elizabeth Griffith, Candace Cunningham, Stacey Stanley, Rebecca Lacey, and Dana Lowry, and led authorities to Cunningham's body. Following his trial in April and May of 2018, Grate received 2 sentences of death by lethal injection for the murders of Elizabeth Griffith and Stacey Stanley. The initial execution dates were to take place on September 13, 2018, the 2-year anniversary of Grate's discovery and arrest, but were stayed due to a pending appeal to the Ohio Supreme Court. Grate also pled guilty to the murders of Rebecca Lacey and Candace Cunningham and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 17 years to life, and pled guilty to the murder of Dana Lowry and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 16 years. During his trial, Grate was convicted of 23 charges, 15 of which he pled guilty to. The charges include 3 counts of aggravated murder, 1 count of murder, 3 counts of kidnapping, 4 counts of rape, 4 counts of abuse of a corpse, 1 count of tampering with evidence, 4 counts of burglary, 1 count of aggravated robbery, 1 count of breaking and entering, and 1 count of unauthorized use of a vehicle. Grate was charged with 90 years to life for the non-capital offenses on top of the 2 death sentences. On December 10, 2020, Grate lost his appeal against the death sentence, and his execution date was set to March 19, 2025. However, the method of execution to be used is still determined. Towards the end of 2020, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine put an indefinite hold on all capital punishment due to not having enough lethal injection drugs to carry out the execution until state legislature approves another method. On the next few slides, you can hear part of the 911 call that leads to Grate's arrest, as well as some clips from Grate's confessions.
911, what is the address to your emergency?
4th Street Laundromat.
What's the problem?
I've been abducted.
Who abducted you?
Shawn, Grate,
Where's he at now?
asleep
Where's he sleeping at?
in the bedroom.
In what bedroom?
There's 2 houses right by the laundry street, and it's in one of those houses.
But you're at the laundromat?
No, I'm in the bedroom with them.
If I'm looking at the laundromat, which way is it?
If you're looking in the laundromat, it's one on the left of the 2.
You don't know what color the house is?
Yellow. Please hurry.
Does he have a car?
No. Well, he's down the street.
So what's your phone number you're calling me from?
I don't know.
And you think it's a yellow house?
I think so, but it's on the left.
Is it an apartment?
No, it's a house.
Okay, does he own the house?
No, he broke into it.
Does anybody actually live there?
I think they've been abandoned.
And his name is Shawn Grate?
Yes.
Like Grate?
Yes.
Does he have a weapon?
He's got a taser.
What does he look like? Is he a white male or a black male?
White.
Is he like 6 foot or is he shorter than that?
He's like 6'1", 6'2".
Do you know how much he weighs?
Probably 175.
Are you injured?
A little.
What color is his hair?
Brown.
Do you know what color his eyes are? What's he wearing?
Nothing right now.
Okay, stay on the phone with me. Stay on the line with me, okay? Where did he take you from?
My apartment. I mean, I was walking with him.
You were walking with him?
Mm-hmm.
Where were you walking to?
I've known him for like a month and a half.
Is there any way you can get out of the building?
I don't know without waking him, and I'm scared.
Is there a bathroom in the house?
Well, his bedroom is closed, and he made it so it would make noise.
And if you told him you had to go to the bathroom, he would do something to you?
Yeah, because he had me tied up.
Are you tied up now?
Well, yeah, but I kind of freed myself.
Is he in the same room with you?
Yes.
Is it his phone you have?
Yes. Are they on the way?
Yeah, we have officers we're sending.
Please send them up.
Okay, if you're worried, you don't have to talk. You can just set the phone down, okay? I just need to hear if the officers find you or not. Are you upstairs or are you downstairs?
We're downstairs. There's a door. There's a side door on the right of the last house, and that's where we enter. Immediately there's a kitchen right there, and then the bedroom is right off from the kitchen.
Do you need an ambulance? Are you bleeding from anywhere?
Not anymore.
What were you bleeding from? You don't have to talk if you don't need to, okay? Do you know where he lives?
No. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I woke him up.
You just set the phone down. Are you still there?
How much longer?
What?
How much longer?
Do you hear any officers outside?
No.
Okay, they're in the area.
See if they can come in the side doors, though, like, softly.
Is there a padlock on the bedroom door, or is it just a regular lock?
No, I don't even know if it's locked. It has a knob, so.
Can you get up and see if you can get out?
I'm afraid of waking him. I knew the cops were right there, I would do it. I don't even know if it opens, how it opens.
Is there a window around there you can look out?
Yeah, but the floor squeaks and it's right by his head.
Are you laying down?
No, I'm standing right by the bedroom door.
And you can't open it?
What?
Can you open it?
I'm afraid without making noise.
Is the door to the house open?
I don't know, probably, maybe. I don't think he has a key, I'm not sure. Because I think he broke in here.
Can you see out any window that you're at?
They're all curtains shut.
If you think you can get out, you need to get out.
Not unless they were right here. He would hear me, catch me, and he's strong.
He's on the first floor. Are you at the house closest to the laundromat or the other one?
We were standing in the laundromat looking at the two houses. It would be on the left. Side door. Side door.
And the side door. The side door to the right.
Okay, I can hear him.
You hear him?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you think you can get out?
Yeah.
Are you out of the bedroom?
Yes. It doesn't have a doorknob. You need to push.
The door doesn't have a doorknob?
No.
Can you see them?
No. Have them push the door.
He said push the door. Are they on the other side of the door?
Yeah, I think so.
She said have you guys push the door. There's no doorknob there.
Just push it slowly. Where'd they go?
Can you get out of the bedroom?
And the door doesn't have a knob.
Can you hear anybody right now?
I heard the side door open.
She heard the side door open.
Where'd they go? I'm out of the bedroom.
You're out? Okay, can you get to the door where you can see out? Can you get out of the house?
Locked.
It's locked. Are you at the door?
Yeah, I am.
She's at the door. You're on the door to the right-hand side of the house.
Yeah.
She's at the door on the right side of the house. She got out of the bedroom. Is there a window there?
Yeah, I'm looking out and they tell me to come back.
She said,
Hurry, hurry.
she said to hurry up and come back.
Yeah, they can see me if they come
locked.
to it.
The door is locked. No, the bedroom door had no door handle. This one, it's locked. You can't get out. Can you unlock the door at all?
Come on out. Hurry up. Get out here. Where is he?
Bedroom sleeping.
Still sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay, they have her.
He's unarmed.
He's unarmed?
Yeah.
All right. You need to go. Take that. Right now. Do it. Don't do that. Go around your belly. Where are you? Oh, okay. Go on out. Here's the blanket. Well, if you can't be in there, here, cover yourself up. Tell me what happened. What happened?
It looks like you might have hit her a couple times.
I did because I lost control.
Why did you lose control?
A lot of it's that she'd marry me, she won't marry me. You know, it's like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of leading me on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where'd you hit her?
Her side.
Yeah, she's got a fat lip.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's where I got that from.
From punching her?
Well, her tooth
Oh,
had to have got me.
okay.
Yeah. Her games trying to get down to if she's going to marry me or not.
So you just held her there because you wanted to find out if she was going to marry you?
A lot of questions and stuff, and yeah, it's very nightmare. Couldn't imagine her.
You just wanted to make sure she didn't get away because you wanted her?
No.
What?
I
Explain.
just wanted her to relax, spend some time with me. I tied her legs down just a little bit.
So you've tied her down at least twice?
Yeah, just kind of like just to slow her down because she's moving around a lot. Like, just relax. I'm going to take you home here.
I mean, you told me you abducted her. What does that mean to you?
I mean, I care about her.
Abducting somebody means that you care about her?
Yeah, in this situation.
Okay, but at some point you said she wanted to leave and you had to stop her from leaving. When did that happen?
Yeah, but I didn't tie her up. I just held her, asked her to hold, like, just for us to hold each other.
Held her? What would describe the hold?
Just lay down and hold each other.
Just you mean hold her down on the mattress?
Chest right on my, she's put her head on my chest and said, laid there. I mean, she might have probably been unwilling to do that.
Why
I
would
just wanted to hold her.
Okay, you wanted to hold her, but she didn't want to be held. Is that what you're saying?
She wanted to be held.
No, that's not what you just said. You said
But
that
she couldn't let it happen. Because she wanted it.
you think she wanted it.
You know, I did joke about abduction, and then I ended up being abducted.
How do you joke about it?
So I should abduct you, keep you up, so you stay with me for a few days.
And then it ended up happening that way.
She even mentioned that she wanted to die then because of the abuse I was putting her in.
She had some courage there, didn't she?
I told her to. Told her, you better find a way out of here or I'm going to kill you.
Did you mean it?
No. I just was trying to boost her to go. To like, just... I don't know what I was doing.
We talked about abortion and stuff. And I was pretty sure, she said she was going to get an abortion.
No. You're definitely against that, right?
Probably we get her pregnant. She'd at least be able to have something to focus on instead of everybody else's business. But now I kind of think, well, she doesn't because of the child. She'd resent him, probably, and she would know how to be a parent.
Right.
Her apartment is full of Bible verses. And I think, what is she hiding from? She's hiding from something. I think you took place in Mansfield.
Where are you going to take me to Mansfield? Where there's another girl?
Where there is a girl.
Is she missing? You don't know?
I know I loved her. You lie all the time.
All right, what's her name?
Candace.
Candace
Cunningham.
Cunningham?
Candace was probably more of an anger, tired of all of her lies, so I just tortured her for probably about 3 days. I guess I really didn't torture her for 3 days because we were getting out of our arguments, right? Little choking things, and then we'd go walk around town, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She could have easily just went and like hollered help or anything anytime, so like she wanted it. I mean, what am I supposed to do? People who actually want to die. I mean, Candace Cunningham is just another mother. It's crazy. I mean, should not be out in society.
Is she in a house? What is she in?
Woods.
She's in the woods? Okay. How long has she been there? June?
Half the fun girls, and I took her through the woods.
Were you afraid? Is that why you put her in the woods?
I told her I was going to lay her ass down in the woods if you lied to me again. And about the 20th lie after that, took her ass out. Accident.
Okay. When you said it was an accident, you guys got into it, and then how did you do it? Like,
which would be easier for you to kind of show it, or to have like a stuffed animal doll teddy bear thing?
I was thinking I'd demonstrate it on you.
That's what you want to do. Look at that big smile.
We go to bed that third night, and it's almost like she just keeps egging it on.
3 o'clock in the morning, I got hit in the face with a bag of tobacco. I just snapped.
yeah.
I did.
She hit you in the face with a bag of tobacco?
Yeah. I was
Okay.
dead asleep.
I'm like, oh, okay. So these past 3 days, I mean, you just want me to finish you, you know? And I grabbed her, and that's when I choked her. And she passed out.
She woke up though. Went crazy again. I had enough.
Grabbed her from behind, passed out. I mean, I was irritable. I had enough. I just finished her.
So you kept her in the house overnight, and then the next day, did you go out and scope out where you were going to put her, or did you just took her back there?
I just took her back there.
And about what time was it when you took her back there?
Once it got dark,
Okay.
about 10.
About 10 at night? Okay, so the incident happened on the 16th, and then on the 17th,
Yes.
you take her back, and you're going to show us where.
I had to hurry up and cover her. I couldn't look at her, you know.
What did you cover her up with?
Blanket. Since it was dark, then I took the blanket just in case of like DNA and stuff, you know.
I walked backwards and
Kind of walk back.
dragged her backwards. She was pretty light, but man,
Yeah.
it seems like the last time she died was a lot heavier. Is that normal? And then I carried her across the creek and up, straight up the hill, about between 10 to 15 feet. There's a big shrub. There she is. Candace, you finally got what you wanted.
Now, the patrol guys are saying you know an Elizabeth?
Met her one time outside. And I was playing badminton, and Elizabeth come outside, talk to us.
What's she talk about?
The mental hospital and stuff that she's dealing with.
Yeah, she had some issues. She's missing.
That's what I heard.
Kind of makes me wonder if you didn't have something to do with her being missing.
I understand. With the situation.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks funny. You know where she's at?
Wish I could help. I don't know what to say right now.
So, you know what we're going to do today is we got a lot of work to do. We'll go through that house and we're going to collect some evidence. And what I'm afraid that we're going to find some evidence related to Elizabeth. And if that's the case, and you haven't talked to me about it and been straight up with me, it's not going to look good. So I want to give you the opportunity, before we dig into that, to be honest with me.
About Elizabeth?
About Elizabeth. What do you know about her?
She's crazy. You don't know where she is?
No. So where's she at, Shawn?
Will you take me to her? You and me.
Everybody acts like there's something already wrong with her. She's should be sad for her. That's what she wants everybody to do. Feel sorry for her. Just grow up. She should have been taken back or put in some institution a long time ago. Something. They almost need a special city for all the retards out there collecting the retard check. Waste of lives. I hate to say it. How many people before I get rejected?
Let's not worry about any of that.
Really?
Who else? Who are you thinking of?
The house?
There's somebody in there?
Yeah.
Is it Elizabeth? Where is she in there?
In the closet.
In the closet?
I hate to get loose over.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Okay. How did you do it, Shawn?
Well, it just happened. The drug truck just reached up and just choked her right. I asked her, "You sure that's what you want?" I mean, because she thought about like killing herself. So I mean, I do that. It's jokes. They start talking about killing herself. Well, we waited on it. But now it's to the point. It's like, okay, let's see exactly how much they really do want to die. You know what I mean? So I put a little fear on her, right? She took it out of proportion. Like I was just joking. There wasn't no calming her down. She just lost it. I had a panic.
You panicked? Then you just did it again?
I didn't have another choice. To slow, like, calm her down.
So, did you strangle her again? Is that how she died, or is there another way?
That's the way she died.
That's the way?
Well, Elizabeth, right? It was kind of shocking, right? I was just joking. We were just joking, like how she wished she kind of would die. You know what I mean? I was like, so I'll help you. I'll just go like this. You know what I mean? Like
pushing forward and up at the same time.
Right, and she kind of just like whacked my hands and like started flipping out and stuff like that to the point where I had to just like grab her and I just would lean forward and just press. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right, that explains that one with Elizabeth.
She'd fall down.
You just kind of go down with her?
Yeah, I laid her down and finished. And even after she stopped breathing, I held on till she messed her pants pretty much.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I didn't release.
Okay.
I continued.
I put her in the closet, threw a bunch of clothes in the closet and shut it. And I've just been killing a lot of flies. Opening the window, letting the flies out. It's crazy. I'm surprised it don't stink as what it does.
Yeah.
It soaks in. The smell soaking into everything else, though. Yeah, I was just trying to like open her mouth a little bit to be able to have more access for flies than eat her. I don't want to rape and try to get rid of the body, like the smell. So I was trying to just like lodge her open a little bit.
Are there any other girls in the house right now?
One down in the basement. She just led me on to the point of there was no stopping, and it really irritated me.
What's her name?
Stacy.
Stacy. How did you meet her?
Walking to the gas station.
Okay. When did that happen? Here's September. Today's the 13th, Tuesday the 13th. What day do you think this happened with Stacy?
Probably Thursday.
Probably Thursday. How did the conversation go that she ends up coming back to your place? Did you just walk up to her and start talking?
She had a flat tire in her car. You may give you a hand. And she's like, well, I have someone coming. I went ahead and walked down the Circle K and back, and she was still there waiting. But then I went back up there in about 10 minutes. Someone showed up. I asked her if she wanted to hang out sometime. She said, sure. So we started hanging out. She came in, and everything was fine. I mean, we ended up kissing. Just kind of like just happened. I don't know.
Okay.
It just went all bad. I just made a kiss, right? And started making out, and everything was fine, right? Then she started playing all innocent. I'm like, oh.
Like she didn't want to go farther than that?
Yeah, and that's when I called her out on sugar daddies. I brought that up, and she was straight up lied to me. Just like playing off like she's all innocent. I just seen how she just played this dude about changing her tire. I just kind of just snapped on her. Yeah, play all innocent. She'd come home with me at 11 o'clock, don't even know me. I mean, kind of like almost sent from God. But it could be sent from the devil, I don't know. Someone gave up on her.
So did you feel like she'd already sealed her fate when you watched her be manipulated to that man?
No. When she lied to me.
How long did you keep Stacy before she...
Oh, just about an hour.
Just about an hour?
Short time. Yeah, she flipped out. Acted up.
Tell me about that.
She maced me too.
She maced you?
Well, that's what happened. Yeah, she maced me, right? I was gonna let her go till she maced me. She was free and clear to go. Because she told me she had a grandchild, you know, and everything. I didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice? Do you really, I mean, think about it. Did you really have a choice whether to kill her or not?
When you choke a woman out,
Yeah.
choke someone, and they die with their tongue out of their mouth. I don't know, just the pressure that makes people's tongues stick out. And then after they die, it just makes them still. Their tongue just stays out of their mouth.
It's been 2006 or 5 or 4. I can't place the time. Maybe it was like 2005. It's a cold case. But they've already found her.
Okay. Where did that happen?
In Marion.
Tell me what happened.
Well, it's kind of weird how it happened. In a way, I felt like I had to do something.
Okay.
Get out of control.
There was this lady.
This lady selling magazines are supposedly for a college, but she went around collecting money.
My mom paid her. She paid like $40 for these magazines, and then she never got them.
Well, I found her.
Okay.
I found her, and she tried to sell me magazines as well, so as I knew it was her. So I asked her what she was doing. I wanted to take a break. You know, take a drive with me. Well, actually, to go get the money, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah. I asked her what she was doing before that, and she was ready to call it a day, so I just asked her if she wanted to hang out, go out to where I was staying and get money.
Okay.
Which I lied. I mean, my intention, she's already irritated me.
Yeah.
Someone that I supposedly care about. So I took her with me to my grandparents' house where I was living. I was remodeling my grandparents' house. Well, first we sat in the kitchen. There on the bar stools and just sit there for a minute. And I felt her bullshit, and I was just feeling raged.
Okay.
So I said, hey, come on in back here. Show you my ball cards. And there she comes. It's like, oh, neat. So that's when I fronted her. So you gonna rip me off like you did my mom?
What did she say?
She said, who's your mom? I said, oh, so you do it a lot to people. Started arguing with her, like, dude, con, you're just gonna take, you know, I mean, you're gonna take my money and run. I said, no. I said, yeah, you are, because you did my mom's too. And I just yanked her up, walked her back a little bit to the living room. That's when I choked her out right here. I back her out, I turn her around, she comes towards me, I knock her hands around, knock her whole body around, and just grabbed her like she just was meant to be choked out.
Okay.
I mean, it fell right in my hand.
Okay.
I set her back, laid down, and I actually laid down with her. We was laying down, just side by side. I believe it. Her nose was bleeding. There was some blood. Could have been from her lip. Right here. She peed her pants.
How did she die?
I strangled her. Oh wait, no, I didn't. I strangled her first. And then he dragged her down to the basement after she passed out. She woke up
She woke up from the strangulation?
downstairs. She woke up downstairs.
So when you took her downstairs, did you take her down thinking she was dead?
No, because I knew before that was just a little temporary, like a pass out. Yeah, I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I ran upstairs, grabbed a knife, kitchen. You know, it's the first thing I did when I went downstairs. Stabbed her in the neck. I didn't know what to do.
He said Dana taken to the basement in the afternoon. Then he had a bonfire at his house that evening/night, and she was still in the basement, so he put a couch in front of the door, so in case someone had to go like take a piss or something, they wouldn't go into the house and then stumble across her in the basement.
I did go back after a few months, and I burned a fire. I caught her on fire, just to burn up a little evidence, just in case if there was. I've been paranoid, just beating myself up the whole time. Like, I don't know what to do.
The reason I have Sergeant Martin here is because he's been dealing with something for a long time that he's got a case file on, and there were just some parallels. There's a case from out in the county, meaning that we found a girl. And we're trying to see if you'll be honest, if that's something you have something to do with. We're asking for that. A lot of time has been put into it, and we don't know.
Rebecca Lacey.
Yes, sir.
I had problems with her once. I met her. She got violent with me. That's why I've been like angry and bitter about her.
Where did you meet Rebecca the first time?
$20. That's how I met her.
Oh, as a prostitute? Okay.
And then she just started calling me here and there. Sometimes she just come over, hang out. She seemed like a good person and everything. I mean, we've met several times.
Okay.
As a friend. What kind of time frame are we in, Shawn? At least 2 years ago. She was number 2. Yeah, Rebecca was number 2.
Okay.
It's pretty much self-defense on that one. Good. She robbed me. I just snapped. Like, she just knew it. I don't know.
Okay. When you say she robbed you, where did that happen?
That happened in Eclectic Tempo. I had become partners with my best friend in the store. She came over. And I went to the bathroom, right? I had some money in my wallet. And that's the first thing I did was just check my wallet. And it was gone. So I was in front of her. She wanted to leave. Snatched her up. Yeah, she tried to call 911. I grabbed the phone. That's after we were wrestling and stuff. She just crawled in the ball. I don't know what she was doing. She got the phone. Help. You wanted to steal from me and all that, you know what I mean? I just snapped. I was like, boom, and then I grabbed her head. Boom. I was asleep. Grabbed the phones and stuff, took the batteries out. She had 2 phones on her. She woke up, and I didn't know what to do. I was just waiting for her to wake up. She woke up. First thing she did, she panicked. I tried to calm her down. She tried to get up and just leave. That state of mind I was in, I couldn't let her just leave. I pieced her. Boom. Gave her a knee. Put her asleep again. Then I just didn't know what to do. I panicked and I just finished her off.
How did you finish her off?
Choked her. Put her in this old plastic golf carrying bag. She barely fit. She fit in there. I ended up taking it just in case it propped open because of the daylight. The lawyer's office going on, the secretaries, when I pushed her out. And I remember it was snow on the ground. It was really hard. I just